Just in, kinda. Kelsey Mitchell has been cored by the Indiana Fever, as expected all along. Just hit the transaction wire a few days later than it technically could have. We're going to break it all down right here in this video. I'm Tony East. I've covered the Fever since 2020. I've covered a significant part of Kelsey Mitchell's career. I've interviewed her countless times, and I hope I can provide some context on this decision from the Fever and what it means for the remainder of their offseason. I did touch on it and said that I strongly expected it in a video I made yesterday outlining the Fever's upcoming free agency period. And then the next day, 12/25, it hits the WNBA transaction wire. The Fever have submitted a core qualifying offer to Kelsey Mitchell, their two-time All-Star guard, who does fit with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Seemed like a no-brainer move all along, especially if they wanted to keep her. And there's a lot more to this than just the fact that it was submitted. I would have thought they would have wanted to keep Kelsey Mitchell anyway, despite Kelsey Mitchell's own free agency consideration. So let's talk about what this actually means and what its signals could be coming for the Fever, even though I think this was the expectation for anybody. Only one player can be cored, right? So of the Fever's free agents this winter, using NBA terms, there were only two since Temi Fagbenle got picked by the Valkyries, Erica Wheeler and Kelsey Mitchell. It made no sense to core Erica Wheeler. She would have just signed it immediately. It does make sense to core Kelsey Mitchell. What does this actually mean? I'll read you the first line from the CBA. I have it pulled up right now about core players, and then I'll explain it in much more digestible terms. Thank you to her Hoop Stats, who has, to me, the best WNBA CBA explainer out there. So this is what the core player line starts with in the CBA. It says, each team shall be permitted to designate no more than one of its veteran free agents as core players. Such designation can apply to any veteran free agent who would otherwise have been an unrestricted or restricted free agent, any veteran free agent who has previously been designated as a core player by a team and remains under contract to play for such team during the upcoming season pursuant to player contract signed while the player was designated shall be included in the maximum number of players who may be designated as a core player by such team. And as we learned from the start of this, that's one. So one player can be cored by a team. The Fever currently have no players cored, and they chose to do it to Kelsey Mitchell. What does this actually mean? A core qualifying offer, which if you check the WNBA transaction log, the exact language is the Indiana Fever extended a core qualifying offer to Kelsey Mitchell. The word offer is key there. This is technically, I'll put air quotes up, a contract offer. And that's why this is a big deal. It is a 1-year supermax, as high as possible contract. I believe right now for Kelsey Mitchell, that is about $250,000 for the coming season. I will make sure I figure that out before I finish this video. Regardless of that specifics, the Fever can afford multiple supermaxes right now if they wanted to. What matters to know is that offer is on the table. In theory, Kelsey Mitchell could turn around tomorrow and sign that and be under contract with the Fever on a 1-year deal that covers the 2025 season. What the importance of the core is that once one has been extended, the player, in this case Kelsey Mitchell, cannot sign a contract directly with any other team, right? Now, you can get cored and then sign and traded to another team, but the way a sign and trade works is you actually sign with the team that cored you. So even if Kelsey Mitchell does play for another team next year, it will be because she is traded from the Fever to that team, not because she signs directly with that team. That's the main benefit of doing this. So this sounds like an obvious thing to do, and it is. Kelsey Mitchell's very good, but why would this ever be a consideration for a team for a good player, right? Why is it shocking that Gabby Williams got cored by the Storm? Because the way coring works is, that's why I wanted to read you the CBA line, you can only have a maximum number of one cored player at a time, the way contracts overlap. So should Kelsey Mitchell negotiate a different contract with the Fever that's longer than 1 year, let's say she signs a 3-year deal, which I totally don't expect because the CBA is coming next year, and that could change the maximum salaries of contracts. I think lots of players would like to be free agents then. If she signed, let's say, a 2 or 3 year deal, the Fever could not core anyone else if Kelsey Mitchell was still on their team on that contract signed while she had a core designation. Her Hoop Stats lays that out absolutely perfectly. That's the team's one allowable cored player until that contract expires, is terminated, or is traded, right? That doesn't mean it's impossible to work around that. Other teams have had to deal with not coring very good players. There's a lot of trust involved and stuff like that. But as time rolls on, and let's say Aaliyah Boston hits free agency ahead of the 2027 season, or obviously Caitlin Clark ahead of the 2028 season, the Fever would like to set themselves up for the best possible situations to keep those players as long as possible. Now, those players will be restricted free agents at that time, which already gives the Fever a big advantage in keeping them. They probably wouldn't need to core them at that time, but they would have to think about exactly when their cores roll over, even though a 3-year Kelsey Mitchell deal almost certainly would not interfere with either of them right now. So that's not necessarily a consideration at this moment, but it could be for future core offers. Just keep that in mind. But the starting point is this, is exactly that. They have officially offered, in theory, Kelsey Mitchell a contract, and she is now core designated. Eventually, you can only be core designated for so many years before you just become unrestricted and can't be cored again. You can read all about that in the Her Hoop Stats. I'll put this in the comment section of this video, the core qualifying offer section there, and exactly what that means and when it can happen. But I believe it's 3 seasons. If you sign a 3-year deal, you can. Yeah, that's it. From the 2021 season onward, players who have played 3 or more seasons on contracts that were signed while under the core designation may not be cored again. So let's say Mitchell signs a 1-year deal, then gets cored again, then signs a 1-year deal, then is cored again, then signs a 1-year deal, then she's done. She cannot get cored again, and she would become an unrestricted free agent at that time. You can read all about that there. I think that is the easiest way to break it all down. But that is now Kelsey Mitchell's reality. Unless the Fever trade her, she will be on the Fever this season, and if she can negotiate a 3-year Supermax deal, maybe she would want to. But I have a hunch that most players would like to sign 1-year deals. I suggested this in my free agency preview video for the Fever, especially good players who can command a lot of money on the open market next year. No one knows exactly how it'll look, although I'm sure agents and teams have a better idea than anyone in the public space. But there's a chance that when the new CBA comes in next year, with TV rights deals that have come in, with the WNBA's revenue structure changing rapidly, that there's a chance max salaries for players could go way up, or players could get a larger percentage of the revenue pie from the league towards their salaries, which could increase salaries significantly. Kelsey Mitchell Supermax, to be clear, I was barely off. I said $250,000. Is actually $249,244 for the coming season. So I suspect you'll see lots of 1-year deals this free agency, maybe some 2-year deals just for some safety blankets. But it's very possible that Kelsey Mitchell just signs this. She just signs this 1-year Supermax and is back with the Fever, making the most she possibly can this season, and then runs it in free agency again next year. That would not be a crazy solution to me, but she can only negotiate with the Fever now. They're the only team that can sign her. I don't know what the Fever want. I mean, what I do know what the Fever want. In theory, they want Kelsey Mitchell to sign an unprotected minimum contract for as many years as possible. But that would be stupid for Mitchell to do. That's why negotiations exist. I would suspect she signs a 1-year deal, and she's been offered a 1-year deal at the highest money possible. Maybe it's a shorter deal at that highest money possible. We'll see how this goes. But that's the Fever's newest reality. Kelsey Mitchell. The core designation has come in. Chloe Peterson's been writing about this in Indy Star. I included a little bit about it in my story in the next if you want to read more. As everything unfolds in free agency for the Fever, I'll have videos on this channel. They do not have any training camp, reserved, restricted qualifying offers they need to send out like in past years. So expect some quietness for maybe a week or so until external contracts can be signed, or you start to hear about teams hosting players for meetings. I remember seeing pictures of Katie Lou Samuelson's meeting with the Fever, and she was there around Disney on Ice, which was in late January. So you can expect more Fever news in the coming 10 days, maybe a little later. They did just announce, for example, a new practice facility, but I think the Kelsey Mitchell news is the big news of the day. I'll have much more on this channel. Reminder for those of you who are new, because I saw a lot of people who said they subscribed after my free agency video. Much appreciated. I use this for Indiana Pacers coverage as well, so you'll see videos from, they play tonight. I'm in Detroit, so I'm in this hotel room, videos of their press conferences and stuff from their game. I'll do the same thing for Fever season when they start playing, but just keep that in mind. Not every video is going to be Fever related. I don't want to pretend I'm going to give you something that I'm not, where this is all going to be Fever videos. It primarily will be during their season, but right now it's a mixture of both. So if you learned something or you have questions, let me know by commenting down below. I'm on Twitter at Tony R. Reese, and you can read my work covering the Fever in the next. Thanks for watching. I'll be back the next time there's big Fever news to talk about, specifically regarding the roster.